morning. Good morning, everybody. So, hopefully, everybody's doing great. It's Saturday, February 6th, 2021. Last I remembered. So, but yes, good morning. Welcome to Mid Morning Medium Chat with Adam the Black Swamp Medium. Thanks for joining me today. Glad to see you guys. Um, I'm very tired. If the voice doesn't sound like it, maybe I'll pick it up as we're moving along. Uh, I am going to be, hey, good morning. Um, Margaret, I do not recall. If you just send it like short, just a little while ago, then no, I did not. But if um, if you sent something last night, then I did. Good morning, Rhonda. Good morning, Cindy. So I don't know. So if it was today, no. But if it was yesterday, possibly. So I I don't know. Oh, thanks, Rhonda. Um, so yeah, but as I was saying, I'm super tired right now. Uh, hopefully the more I talk and the more I carry on, maybe I'll start getting some life back in me. Plus, I'm actually drinking my very first cup of coffee this morning, so that's just barely getting into me. So, eh, and I'll explain why I'm as tired as I am, which is no big deal, but it's just par for the course. But first off, oh, okay, well the Margaret I didn't get it because I'm focusing on this stuff. So I will take a look. Oh wait, let's see. We have a foot of snow here. Oh geez. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. If you got that much kind of a total amounts. I know there was another friend up north. Hey, good morning, Dennis. There was another friend of mine that's up further up north. I think they're above Flint or a little bit further than that. And they almost look like they might have like 2 feet of snow or something like that. So they're I seen some photos from them and it was like, eek. So yeah, I can't imagine. But so yes, I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you guys had a great week. Uh here we are. Another week gone by, and now we're truly into February, which, in some hindsight, it's kind of strange looking back that, where did January go? You know, with all of us not being able to get out and do as much, and not, you know, typically this time of year, we're not, hey, good morning, Jeff. And, there's not a lot of events. Even this time of year, there's not always a ton of events going on just because of, a lot of us that live in a colder region of the country, we tend to be, you know, hunkered down, hibernating. If we all really could hibernate, well, how fun would that be? Skip a few months and wake up and you haven't really aged much. That would be great, right? Good morning, Cheryl. But yeah, so I mean, it is we just do what we do, right? But yeah, so we're into February, so that's neat and interesting to see, and I guess we'll just keep watching and seeing how fast February goes through because you just don't know. Um, I guess a lot of us still do have jobs, whether we're working from home or some of us have ventured back on site, so that sometimes tends to um, help and sometimes it hinders. I know I know for me, my temporary job that I'm doing, just helping out another department where I'm at, and I tell you what though, our days are terrible when it comes to thinking that you're so busy, we're doing the same repetitive things over and over again because we're helping this other department out. And I tell you what though, we'll look at the clock, like we feel like we've done tons of work, and which we have, but then when you look at the clock and you realize maybe a half an hour's gone by, and then we'll, we'll all make eye contact with each other and we'll look at our watches or whatever, and we just kind of like fall over, you know, in disbelief. And we're like, how in the world did we just do all this? And it's only been a half an hour. So, um, you can't help but start to crack up and laugh over it then too. But it's like, oh, this day's never going to get over. So, uh, but it's just kind of one of those weird things. But we just make the best of it and we keep plugging along and stuff. But yeah, but it was an interesting week, even in the regards of, you know, getting into February. a lot of us dealt with another, major storms, snowstorms coming through. So we all, in all our different areas, have gotten certain amounts. I know East Coast has definitely taken a hit. Um, Middle to northern Michigan, some of you are in those areas, got hit a little bit more. So you guys know what's going on up there. And we you weren't bad. I mean, the other, what was it, midweek or something like that, and um, we were, gosh, I think it was Thursday was the last one, but we ended up, I know we had a fresh 4 inches of fresh snow that went down, and then a layer of ice. So that wasn't great, Friday morning, which is, you know trying to drive in that stuff is a mess. But so I don't envy anybody that had to, figure out how to get to work, if that's where you were going, or just getting somewhere, maybe at an appointment of something. But man, you just, the only thing bad about this time of year, it's, that's probably my only thing I dislike. I mean, I don't mind the cold as much, I don't mind snow as much, but like, you get into that ice and things, and that just changes the whole dynamics of stuff. And I think, between January and February are usually the worst months, that if something's going to happen, we're going to get it then. But once we get into March, there's the less likely of major storms start to dwindle fast. And then obviously April, doesn't mean we can't get a snow shower, but at least we're not going to get, packed in, at least on average. So, uh, but yeah, so it was a good, decent week. I mean, other than that, I did get, I had to call off work for the first time. I mean, normally I'm not a big person to call off, but, there was a lot of things going on. And one of the things I wanted to kind of segue in, which is why I'm talking about, the week and stuff, and when we're, but, and a lot of you may be able to relate to it. And I know some of you have posted about it this week. Uh, I've been struggling probably the last several weeks. I mean, once we started got into January, it's been rough on and off, I'm talking in regards to sleeping. And I've been, you know, it's like it's I have to go like several nights of, horrible sleep before I end up, getting a good night's sleep, and then it repeats. And that's, like, it grows, or it wears on you, really. And it's it's a real pain in the excuse me, in the rear end. And so I unfortunately, was struggling this week. And I think it was Tuesday morning I woke up, and I wasn't feeling well at first, and the whole a lot of us that are up in age, regardless, I still feel like I'm up in age. But the uh this old getting older stuff is definitely for the birds. And I think any of you that have gotten to that point where it's like you can't always do the things you want to do without some type of repercussion, which is true in life. But I'm talking like, major physical activity, or the thing that's getting me right now is, and it happened last year, and that came up in shows, is, things that you used to eat that you didn't think much of it. It was no big deal, maybe not always the best for you, but you end up, eating it. And then it's just like hours later, or, the next day, you just feel horrible from whatever you had. And so I had one of those moments where, uh, Tuesday morning. So, Monday night to into Tuesday morning, I didn't eat real well Monday night, and I was kind of just eating some garbage because I didn't. I was a part of the Hearts of Collective Change show, so I didn't eat a proper dinner. I just kind of grazed and munched on things afterwards, and there were some leftovers, and I had the leftovers, which were only 2 days old, so it wasn't. It was still within the realm of, being safe to eat. And for whatever reason, it messed me up. Stomach was turning about 2:30 in the morning, and I think at that point I had like maybe 3 hours of sleep, and then I just was struggling. And so I ended up, you know, being up for a little bit, and then by the time I fell back asleep, it was right before my alarm was to get up for work. But I realized, going on 3-4 hours of sleep, I just basically um it just tore me. Well, okay, I see. McCabry. Well, so the what I so basically we had pizza over the weekend, and been have there's certain now places that I can't get pizza from because it just upsets my stomach unless I'm going like super plain cheese only. But like, if I'm putting meats on it and things, uh it certain places have now become a problem. So if I go to other places, it's for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just the quality or whatnot, but possibly. But all I was having, there were a few breadsticks, garlic breadsticks, and some cheesy bread left over, and just a few of each. And for whatever reason, I don't think it was so much as the breadsticks, the garlic breadsticks. I think it was the cheesy bread because it was a little greasy, and it was weird because I don't remember seeing that when we got it, you know, but like I said, for whatever reason, it just something with the grease, and grease has kind of been an enemy to me, which I think, we all know it's not the best to, you know, eat super greasy foods, but I'm thinking, usually leftovers, you don't get too much grease, it's usually absorbed in, so technically you don't see it visually, but it did. It just messed me up for a little bit, and that was it. So I ended up calling off work and staying home because I just knew I couldn't trust myself driving into work. And you know, you eh, the whole thing of listening to your guides, if you guys, are angels, and they just were kind of, tapping me on the shoulder going, it's probably not a good idea today. And I'm not one to call off work. I mean, I'm okay with being a little, colds and things like that, but I was more worried about my drive because some of you that don't know, I have an hour and 10-minute drive to work, one way, and that, it's a long time, and especially 5:30 in the morning is when I'm leaving right now, and obviously it's still dark out, and there's a lot of parts of the highway that have no lights, so it's and then with not a lot of traffic, not a lot of street lights, that tends to kind of get a tunnel vision effect, and you start to drift off, and it's cold, so you have some heat on. So you get all these little elements that just start getting there, and you start feeling all warm and cozy, and you just want to close your eyes. And it is not uncommon for me to drift off, for a second. You kind of close that eye, and and you've already started to kind of drift one way or the other, and it's not good. So I played it safe, and wasn't so much of being sick anymore by that point. If I would have left on time, it was the fact that my guys were just like, "Don't do it. We're gonna have a hard time trying to keep you awake. So stay home. Be careful." So so I ended up staying home Tuesday. And Jeff, what do you got there? I have same sleep issues. I've been taking a shot of Z-Quil before. Let me put that up there. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I know, Jeff, I know you've been dealing with it. Hey, good morning, Tina. I understand that, Jeff. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a couple different things. I tried something new this week. It did not work the first night, which I thought was quite interesting because it did the opposite. It actually kind of energized me a little more, but I don't know why that was, but it did. It kind of pumped me up, and I was like, ah, crap. So, um, and I haven't been able to take it in 2 days because of things that have been going on. So, anyway, uh, hey, Margaret. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so you understand the commuting and distancing and stuff like that, and but yeah, so a lot of times it's I don't want to use up my vacation days because we don't get sick days. We just have straight vacation days, and so I didn't want to. I hated to burn it, but I still got quite a few left. It's just you hate to use it when something like that. I mean, if you're really sick, I mean, obviously, like right now, if it was COVID or the flu or something of significance, it's understandable. And then obviously, and then um, God, I don't know where I was going with that. See, this is what happens when you haven't at least had one cup of coffee in you. So that's why you guys don't normally see me sipping as much as I am, but you can see I'm desperately trying to get that stuff flowing. So bear with me. This is the importance of and the essence of what this morning show is all about. It's never meant to be on a specific structure, and we're gonna kind of talk about things that we would all be doing. And again, for those that are new, the idea is we all kind of just waking up in the morning, we're getting our coffees and teas and juices, and we're just kind of sitting around the table, or in the couches, around the house or whatever, and we're just kind of waking up together. That's the motto of this whole thing. Let's start our day together. And um so this is exactly that. So anybody that thinks this has to be a complete 100%, scripted, show is not going to happen, because that's not the idea of it. Nothing wrong in those. I mean, I love being a part of Beyond the Science Radio on Wednesday nights with Debbie, and you know, in a way we structure it a little bit, but we still have fun. We still kind of go off a little bit, and that's the whole point of that too. Is that we present everybody with the information or the topic or the guest, and then we have some fun at the same time. And again, same here. This one's just even more relaxed. Oh, good morning, Jennifer. But so yeah, um, I there. There's a couple things I did. There's a couple other things I definitely wanted to talk about before we get to 10:30, which we're doing well in time. I'm going to jump forward before I go back to the one I was originally going to bring up, which is weird because even when I bring it up, and it goes along with the whole sleep thing, uh, I don't even have answers that I can provide. It's just more of an open discussion to talk with all of you about it. And maybe some of you have points that you can share, or even then, just like, yeah, that's like me. But I wanted to talk about for just a few minutes why I'm so tired today. And excuse me. Last night, a couple weeks ago, good morning, Kaylee. A couple weeks ago, the old mill and museum in Dundee, Michigan opened back up again to, having the public come out and visit it and, check out the history and things. And with that being said, that means we were able to open up the investigations again. And so we had our first private last night. So, a group of friends, which is what they were, kind of got together and booked the night. And because, sometimes it's teams too, but they got together and came out last night. And it was our first time being at the mill since November, so, at least for me, and a lot of the other team members. Some have been there for meetings and things like that. But it was awesome to be back again. And, it was cold in some parts. Those that know the old mill, the basement was pretty frigid, and some of the storage rooms in the banquet hall were pretty cold, and but that's just the way it is. But it was a good evening. You know, Jeff, if he's still watching, he's one of our team members, and we a lot of times when we're off, you never know what our resident spirits are going to be like when we come back, and they uh, sometimes can be kind of standoffish. They kind of like give you that kind of cold shoulder, which is a bad pun, sorry, but they kind of are mad. They get mad when we've been gone for so long, and the problem is like with last year, we were going months. Last year our last event was in early March, and then obviously the pandemic really hit and we were all locked down. I didn't personally make it back until end of September, October. And so that was the longest stretch I've ever been away from the mill. And that stinks. And so fast forward, once we got into November last year, the same thing. We got locked down again, and we couldn't be there anymore. And so now we were just kind of waiting and getting through the holidays, and then waiting to see, if the mill was going to get, opened up again. And of course, it's guidelines. There's only so many people allowed in the museum at one time, which is totally understandable. And but having that group there, it it was neat to be back, like I said. And then our spirits, instead of being cranky or angry or just kind of giving you that kind of like you give somebody a hard time but in a fun way. Some of you have done it. I do it to a lot of my friends. You give them a hard time, but at the same time, it's not for real. You're just joking around. And they it was different last night. It was a different reaction from a lot of our resident spirits, and Jeff will understand it a lot. Um, okay, yeah. So Jeff made a great point. He's okay. He's still watching, and then I wondered how the reception would be with the resident old male. So, uh, you know, usually I don't do the mediumship when we're there, when it's a private or even a public investigation. I typically don't. Those aren't my nights to be on, so to speak. And that on is literally in many different facets of what I do when communicating. And uh, I typically shut down. I kind of turn things off. It doesn't mean that I can't sense stuff, but the like the formal communication lines are kind of shut down. And the night was kind of slow for a little while, and some people were getting a little bit but not a whole lot in a lot of areas. Some of them, some of the areas like the banquet hall or the basement wasn't really jumping too much, and it was kind of strange. But I'm thinking, okay, they're just, it's the typical thing, they don't always know the people that are there. Um, and they just, sometimes need one of us, one of the team members, doesn't matter who it is, any one of us that just kind of walk in with them, and we're kind of used as a trigger object. And it's, starts to kind of change the energy, the spirits feel a little bit more relaxed knowing that, hey, I know this person, like Jeff, Jeff walks into the room, they're going to be like, oh, Jeff's back, cool. So they're going to, hang out and kind of make themselves known. And, whether they're recording EVPs or their EMF equipment's going off, or, video cameras capturing them, or SLS, so a lot of different things. And about halfway through the night, they, the kind of the group leader, so to speak, the one that, took charge and did all the paperwork and everything and booked it, said, "Hey, do you, could you guys come out with us a little bit? Because it just doesn't seem like there's a whole lot." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I mean, it's we offer it every time. I mean, you wanna use us, even if you don't want us to say anything, but just want us there, just our presence being there, just to see if the spirits will start reacting. Absolutely. That's what we're there for. We want you to have a good time. I mean, you paid to be there. I mean, granted, nothing's ever guaranteed in any location that has paranormal activity. You can't you just can't always say it's going to be the greatest night, and it's just how it is. We would like it to be, but sometimes using us as trigger objects has helped quite a bit. And so that's just something that, I think if you can befriend a lot of the spirits and they understand who you are, and you're not there to really torment them or hurt them or remove them, that sort of thing. And we just, it's nice to kind of have that, and it's great for research purposes too. So I mean, a lot of us that are in it for the research, it does help. But so, and Margaret, that's great because I'm going to be touching on that. Margaret's just saying, do you think that the spirits understand what's going on here with the pandemic? That's a great thing, and I'm actually segueing into that part here in just a moment. um like I said, so we have several different spirits. They're there all the time. Whether they're really outspoken or they're kind of just kind of in the background. I mean, I think we all are. We all have our good days, we have our bad days, and it's no different on the other side. um you know like for me, I'm tired and exhausted, so you're not getting me laughing over, like I normally am. But it's just how we all are. We have our days. And um it's, and like I said, it's different for them. And I think, going with what Margaret just asked, are they noticing? I think so. Judging by what was going on last night, judging by the conversations I had with most of our resident spirits, yes, it is taking a toll on them. They are having difficulty realizing that, it's one thing to be gone for a month or two, which time is irrelevant to them, but they do have a sense of, they can judge, about when people are. And even then, even if, there isn't investigations, the banquet hall has, events. They have parties and they have weddings and things of that sort. And um, those aren't even happening. So it truly is being quiet. And when you're so used to a routine like they are, and then to have it just completely stop, or so few and far between, ours are really having difficulty. And Jennifer, on our team, she was there, and we were, when we went to the banquet hall the first time with the group, after the tour and everything, but this was later on. Like I said, we were in there, and we kind of all were, I started to get messages to kind of stay back away from the main group. And even then I had, an Ovilus I carry. So it's like a spirit box type of thing, and it has words that'll come up on it. And they were telling me to be alone, to come over and get out of the way. And it was weird too, because I was getting that, even, chatting with, some of them. They were like, "Yeah, come over here." And so I was heading in the one back corner, of the banquet hall. And so they started kind of giving me little snippets, and they were actually grabbing on to my I was wearing a hoodie much like this one. And they're grabbing on and pulling on me a little bit, and just, this different amount of attention. Not so much as, hey, we're here. It's more in the sense of, hey, we need you, we miss you. And again, um we were being pulled to different parts, and and we were trying to help out the group, and we had equipment everywhere, and Jeff will understand this. We were in the cubby hole was calling to Jennifer and I, and Jennifer went in first, and she noticed that the energy was really different, which is common in the cubby hole. You usually can feel it. Anybody that walks into a room, you can feel that kind of like, whoa, what's going on here, but you don't know what. And so when I was telling her what I was doing, I was getting, my hoodie pulled on and things. And um, she's like, yeah, it's weird over here. So I said, well, let me go in there. She's like, oh, yeah, you got to. And so we both walked over there. So 1 second. So we walk over there, and I was maybe about 2 or 3 steps because I was directly across from that where these exit doors were. So I was walking over that way, and 2 or 3 steps before I even got to the threshold, I started getting an instant headache. So I'm like, whoa, okay, so that's fast. So a lot of times for me, being in a location, pressure is sort of that sensitive, empathic side where that there's some type of energy going on. You just don't know what yet because you haven't really established a communication with whatever is there. So I was getting that, pressure, which is usually in my temples on both sides. You kind of have this, pressing motion that's like, that's weird. And literally 2, 3 steps before there wasn't anything. So, but that's always a great indicator for me. So I walked through the threshold and kind of snuck in because they had a lot of the tables are in there right now because it's the cubby hole's a storage area. All the tables and chairs go fitting in there when they're not out in the main hall. So I sneak in there and we kind of get back inside a little bit, and sure enough, I mean, I was there maybe a few seconds, and one of our resident spirits, his name's Milton. Milton comes out, and Jeff will know what I'm talking about. And Milton was typically Milton hangs out in the men's restroom. Kind of funny, isn't it? But we don't know why that's his room, but it's just his room. But he came all the way down to the cubby hole, which is on the same side of the building, and he just like it was him. I knew what he looked like because I've seen him before and talked to him, and he just had this look on his face, and so oh, cool, Cheryl. That's awesome to know. Yeah, it's different for anybody that's sensitive, empathic. Even once. I mean, again, that you just everybody has that sensation for them, and so what I have is definitely not going to be for you, and what you have, yeah. So that's awesome. And um, yeah, he looked very depressed, and he was just like trying to ask questions, and I'm like, whoa, this is not him. You know, when I finally really got normally for Milton, he's more of a knocker. He goes up and he knocks above the mirror in the men's room, and that's his form of communication. And then a couple of years ago he came out of there and barreling for me and we sat down and we had a conversation. So it was really strange of him, but this time, he just was depressed and he was just trying to ask questions. And it's weird to have it's it's so different. It's like, for mediums, we're sitting there trying to ask the questions. I mean, even investigators, you're trying to ask the questions to the entities, the spirits, and um, so we're used to that being the questionnaires. And here it is; it was the reverse. And he's just hitting me up with questions and what's going on, and I have to try to explain it, which is different, for me to answer, something like this. And he was just like I said, we're coming back. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, which we will be for another private. And I said, things are, you know, there is some hope. Things are starting to, a little glimmer of hope. I mean, obviously, there's vaccines and things that are out there, and I'm not going down that subject, to upset anybody, but we're making progress. I mean, it's I think we're in better shape than we were last year, but again, that's just my visual appearance of the way I'm seeing things, even though I'm trying to not look as much. But so it's just the idea. I'm trying to explain to him that it's we're working on it. We're getting better. Things are going to start happening. I said it's not going to be as much still, but I said we're going to be back a little bit more. We're going to try to be here more often. And I just, it's just like anybody, you got somebody upset, you're trying to comfort them, and it is different. This was different, because sometimes, you get restless spirits and things, and you have to kind of, put them, okay, let's calm down. You're upsetting people or scaring people, but it's weird to get them in this in this emotional state to try to get them to, quiet down and stuff. So it's a completely different approach to things right now with at least there. Now, I can't say that any other location and any other place that, mediums like me, if they're they help host their locations if they are in the same boat as me. I don't know. But so that, like I said, this is great that I can share this, and it'll be recorded, and in case anybody else sees it, or passes the word on, hey, you guys do this location, they had this experience. What about you? Or, are they emotional? Are they depressed and stuff? And so, again, that's great for research purposes, because, who knows, once we beat this, who's to say, when the next one's going to be, and we don't know, um, but it is good research right now. And so got done talking with Milton and reassured him, made him feel comfortable. I said, okay, I mean, we got you. We'll be back in a couple weeks. You know, you'll see us more. So, we'll make sure we're checking in with you as much as possible. And you hang in there, and, just keep doing what you're doing, and, picking them up. And so we, we walked out, and then, real close to what actually touches the cubby or the storage room, is the women's restroom. And so, um, before, actually, excuse me, back up. Before we walked out, Jen was like, she smelled like some perfume in this cubby hole where we were at. And I said, "It could be Henrietta next door." And I said, "Well, why don't you go in there and see what?" Because, when all the guests are walking around, we had no idea. I didn't know if anybody was in there, so I didn't want to go barreling in there, because, for the investigations, anybody can go in the rooms, as obviously as long as it's not in use. But so I had her go in first, and she goes, "Yeah, she's definitely in there." And but she came out, and when she came back to me, which I was standing in the threshold of the cubby, uh, she was emotional herself. And so I was like, oh, I can kind of see it in the dark, but she's like, yeah, she's not doing well. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what, it's, what is going on with, our spirits, So we, so I said, okay, I said, is there anybody in there? And she goes, no. And I said, well, let me go in, let me have a little chat with her. Cause Jen's on her way too. She's working at her ability. She's real sensitive and empathic. So she gets the energies. Um, but she isn't in that great, perfect, communication, like mediums do. And so, I said, well, let me go in there. And sure enough, I mean, once I got in there, I mean, Henrietta was even making noise, and she's not so much of a noisemaker, but, she was kind of tapping on things. And, she ended up pulling on my hoodie in there, and I was like, oh my God. And then, once I kind of opened up, which I said, normally I don't, opened up, and there she was. um, she was standing there, and she just, she looked like, everything is falling apart. And same thing as Milton, just the same kind of conversation. And, and it's weird, because like half my mind's trying to, go into that comforting, just like I do for anybody. Somebody's, it doesn't matter the subject line, but somebody comes to me, and they're, they got some issues, and they're talking to me just to have a shoulder to lean on, and, or somebody just to listen to. And gosh, it was, it's sad, but I'm trying to, I always stay firm, as much as I can. So that way, there is that kind of strength, and, but I'm sitting there thinking on the other side of my mind, I'm like, wow, this is no joke. And I mean, you can feel it. I mean, you can feel the sadness. You can feel, I mean, like I said, we've all been there. We know what sadness and depression and things feel like. And you can't help but, you're fine. And then all of a sudden you're overwhelmed with this. And, this is the energy you're picking up from them. And then me talking to her and him. And it's like, wow, you can't help but be taken back. And so I continued to talk to her and reassure her, and told her, we're back, and, we're, just like Milton. I said, we're gonna see you. We're gonna keep checking on you. And I said, you just gotta hang in there. We got this situation that's going on, and that we, it's not in our control. We're doing what we can to try to, help it get better, but, it takes time. And she, you know eventually got to understand it. And so, once I felt it was doing okay, and I said, okay, well, I will check in with you in a couple weeks. I'll be back. And, um, you just, like Milton, keep doing what you're doing, you know, and, hang in there, and we'll be back. And so, and, she even, yeah, and this was something I don't think I told anybody this, but it slipped my mind, because again, I was overwhelmed by everything that was going on so far just at that time, that, um, you know, So, like I said, some of our spirits, they'll kind of, poke you, or, real light pokes, just nothing real hard, but just the little pokes, and, pulling on the shirts and things. And um she actually came over and was like basically giving me a hug. It was kind of like a weird side modified, which is weird because she's all very formal, wearing period clothing, and very, the hair's all done up in like the buns and things. And I mean, very, regal, I guess is another great word to put it, but just very, uh, um, like a Sunday best, like, really good, probably even something where it was more like, somebody that had a lot of money that could afford a dress like that. But she actually came over and was like, kind of the side, like leaning thing onto a shoulder. I mean, it was, she's never done that. I don't think she's ever done that to anybody. And so it was a really strange moment too. But I understood it, and it's hard for me to really, you can't really reach back and hug too, but you kind of, you push that energy, so you kind of make that warmth feeling back. And so um it was really, it was neat, but at the same time, sad, for me to, she's desperate for attention too, even though, it gets overwhelming when things are happening so much. But here it is, they're now reaching out and wanting that comfort. And it's like, so again, I say it a lot of times tonight or this morning. It's there's a lot going on that we just don't understand. And so definitely a good time to be an investigator, a researcher, a medium, because we're just not used to a lot of this, and but but cool. I mean, cool in the regards that, like I said, it's neat to kind of collect this stuff and kind of store it and then be able to share it with people. And hopefully others are having similar things. If they are, I mean, I know a lot of places are still shut down, and some are, slowly picking back up. So, and what'd you say, Margaret? We're all interlinked with them, aren't we? Oh, she's asking, aren't we all interlinked? So logically, things that affect us if negative way would impact us then in a similar way. Plus, they would see all the deaths that have happened. Yeah, I mean, uh, typically when you're on the other side, it's not like you see a running counter. So, they don't know that unless it's right there or something, or somebody that's like closely related, maybe family or bloodline, they're not really noticing about things. But for them, at least for ours in that our museum, and that it's just the absence of energy. They aren't getting a lot there. Excuse me. You know, you some of the staff is there, but it's, onesie twosies and stuff, and there's not events, there's not groups of people there. And um that's, I think, what's the issue. There's just not enough energy going around, and it's something that they need, even though, they can use the building's energy and the power that, fuels the building and stuff. They can use that, but it's not always the same. That helps, but it's not always. Some of these that are used to us, still want that human interaction. And all of them, even including our one resident in the basement, Bob, who, can be a little cranky at times. Even, he still needs that interaction, even though he gets a little bit more testy, and will get mouthy to us, uh, because it's just too much. But he still needs it. He still understands who we are. And but again, it's just sort of this thing that we're trying to figure out, and having a location like the old mill and being able to go there, for the most part, often, we were able to kind of build up this database of information, and uh, really understand what the other side is like, in some regards. And so all our spirits, there just have a way of, you know, sharing what they can, even though they don't share it all, but they share quite a bit. And uh, we tend to then share that out because it's neat. So, hi, Elaine. Yeah, let's see what you're saying. Okay, I'm new to this, so it may seem a little ignorant question, but why do they stay there instead of leaving the planet altogether, especially now? So, great question. There is various reasons for everyone and why they're there. The e- the easiest ones are I call the cranky. I'll even say dark or evil, which that's another that goes. down deeper. We won't go down that far, but uh, I think you can take any situation, uh, negative situations out there, and you know, if you catch the news or you read, an article and you see, violence from somebody, and oh, they did all this horrific stuff, to people or a person. Uh, Typically on that other side, they're not any different than they were on this side. So they'll end up doing or trying to do what they can, even though they don't have the same. They can't obviously, like let's say if they shoot somebody and murder them that way. They can't get a gun and shoot you, but they still have those tendencies of being violent towards people, and they still will. And those are ones that just never want to do anything or like effectively cross over to the next realm. And that's what they do. They just stick around for that purpose because they have no intent of moving anywhere. So, hey, good morning, Tim. So those, like I said, that's the easiest one of what happens. So they do their thing and then they still are violent. Now they figure out different ways to, harm people. I mean, you do get into scratching, you do get into pushing, and it can get to a level uh, that really is scary. And, if you're, Elaine, if you're familiar with the term of poltergeist, which, is a German word for scary ghost, they, poltergeist is, it ranks up there as some of the serious stuff. I mean, besides demonic, which is few and far between, but poltergeist is where, hey, good morning, Phil. I mean, they're literally everything and anything's going on. I mean, you're watching objects float around the room. You're watching objects getting thrown. You're personally being attacked where you're being pushed and you can't see what's doing that. And so there's all these different levels, and you'd hate to be a part of something like that. Oh, geez. 1 second, guys. I had to delete somebody. So anyway, um, so yeah, and so there's others. Hey, good morning, Melissa. And there is so other spirits, some of them too just have something missing, like they don't feel like they've accomplished everything in life, or they're so connected to, maybe they had children, let's say, and they want to be around, or just a family in general, so they don't want to leave because they just feel like they still need to take care of their family and friends. So that's another reason why they stick around. Others are lost. There's a lot of us, here in the room, and then a lot of my other friends. I mean, I've seen it. You just have lost people. Children tend to be lost a lot. I've crossed over many children just for the fact that they really didn't know where to go. It wasn't clear to them as to which direction they need to go to effectively, be with their family members, or enter that higher realm and things. So uh, it's amazing how many different things are out there, that reasons why they stick around. Now the interesting thing is, even if so, it's funny. I recommend everybody cross over when you cross over, when it's your time. you know, it doesn't mean that you can't come back. Um, that's the thing is like, move over. Even if maybe you were upset about things, or you were trying to um uh, watch over your family and stuff that are still here. Crossover, do it. You can come back later. Okay, just that way. Once you understand the doorways, and I'll use it like that. You can use it however you want in your belief system, but once you understand how those work, then it's easier to kind of go back and forth. Especially once you have moved over, your family members, if they want you to be around, they one can ask for you to show up, which is a fantastic thing. So if they ask you, it's like a done deal. So if, like, my grandparents, who have all passed away, if I wanted to speak to one of them real badly, even though I know they're always, around in some regard, but I can sit there and say, hey, I really need you, can you come and talk to me? It's a done deal. So they're going to show up. Now, are you going to know they're there 100%? A lot of us that aren't into mediumship and things probably aren't going to notice it. But Some of them will try to do things, so a lot of classic symbols of things. Maybe you'll hear a song that reminds you of them, or maybe you'll all of a sudden see a coin of some sorts appear in the middle of the room when there wasn't something there recently, and a lot of little things that can make themselves known to show you that they are there with you at that time. And so never hesitate to ask, anyone on the other side to come and visit you, and uh, I mean, it's a beautiful thing to do, and I think it's great because if they can see you, yeah, it might be difficult for you to understand that they're there, but at the same time, they'll do what they can if they can do it enough to where you notice it. Because, like I said, a lot of our minds are so used to being running around and we're doing this and that, and so you miss a lot of the small little symbols and messages that are always there, because it's not just as simple as somebody picking up a cell phone, which could happen. It's rare, but you can have the cell phone ring and it's this weird number, and or it might remind you, or maybe it was their number at some point. There's some weird things that have happened that way, but um, so sometimes it's not always as clear as to how the message of your loved one being right there after you've asked them, but always know that they will be. As soon as you ask them, they're there. I mean, it's like, it's literally like it's like you picked up your phone and you called them on the other side and saying, "Hey, I need you right now. Can you come over?" Boom, boop, they're there. I mean, and so I always try to tell people that just don't be afraid to ask for it. It's not like they're gonna purposely show up and then like scare you. That's not that's not how it works. um so but because you asked, that's the important part. So um and what else did you say, Elaine? Let's see. Okay, so you had an experience last in the summer, having your bed shaken in the middle of the night at a retreat. Okay. um there is a lot of spirits that's what their thing is just attention getting. Ones that we don't know who they are at first. They just want to, like that, shake your bed and get you to be like, "Hey, I'm really here. I do exist on this side. We're sharing the same space." And a lot of times, if people are having those first moments where you're like, "Did that just happen?" The important thing is to just say, "Okay, yep, I gotcha. Thank you." But don't do, especially if you're a little freaked out and stuff, please don't do that again. But I understand that you are here. Um, I wish you well, but please don't bother me, because it is scaring me a little bit. And but be don't do it in a really, like you're really super scared and like biting your nail type of thing, but just be like, okay, have a firm tone to your voice, and just understand that that's them just being recognized again. And I think, a lot of us, you know, want some sort of attention, here and there, and a friendly hello, and that's kind of why a lot of us do shows and things. We just want to be able to reach out and just kind of say hi and just talk for a little bit. And uh, it's the same thing. They want just that recognition. And a lot of times too, if you confirm that, hey, okay, you shook my bed, got it. Thanks. Don't do that again tonight, but I appreciate that. And I hope you're okay. And then just don't do it again, please. And then go on. And majority of the time, almost all the time, it's just not going to happen again. But again, because you noticed it, you said, okay, cool, and recognize it, then that's all that makes them happy. Yeah, and see, Tim's another great friend. He's been on this morning show with me, and um, 'cause he does a show on Wednesday, or Tuesdays, and the Black Cat Lounge, and I was on there a couple weeks ago, and it is true. We will put spins on things like this, being like, "Yeah, why don't you come back another time?" Because it never fails, and Tim will agree with me, and a lot of others that are, you will get them showing up in the middle of the night, and obviously, they're doing it because you are in your state of mind is in a lower frequency. You're not chaotic. You're not worrying about, oh, I got to get to my job. I got to, I got to pick up this on the way home, and there's just all this commotion going on. But when at night, when you've slowed down, that's how mediums work. I mean, we have to take our chaotic minds and bring it down to a low vibration to kind of root out all that noise, so to speak. And once we do that, that's when the communications are a lot easier to see them, hear them, feel them. uh you have to do that. So we go through processes, and once you've done it long enough for years, it's automatic. You don't even have to sit there and do like a big prep for it. So, um, but yeah, it's fun. But yeah, I've done pretty good in my home, making sure that there's a established definition of when the right time is and when there isn't, or when the right time is and when there isn't. So, um, I'm really strict in my home. You wouldn't think, knowing if you guys hear me for a long time, I wouldn't sound like I'm some, you know, uh, and I wouldn't say mean, but just like an attitude. But at the same time, you do. Uh, a lot of people, especially children, when they've started out and they're seeing and communicating at an early age, they don't understand that difference is that you do have to stand up and you do have to tell them to knock it off. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to talk to them at some other point, but you got to create a space for yourselves, or you're gonna you're gonna you're gonna be restless, you're gonna be exhausted, and you'll start to create health issues, and that's stuff you don't want to go down. Oh, hello, Michelle. And so you really truly have to establish a line. And so I always I work with a lot of kids, and it's difficult to get them to kind of get away from it for a little while and kind of say, let's close that door for right now. Maybe once you're a little bit older, we can go back to that and open that door again, because gosh, i I it's neat. And kids are in a growing up, they haven't been absorbed or haven't been taught all the weird stuff that we learn over the years, and the stuff that's not useful. And so the kids are very open. Their minds aren't as chaotic, and so they they ended up they get in their stuff, and it's like, oh my gosh. And so I hate to shut kids down, but at the same time, it's the best for them. Enjoy their they're growing up. I mean, live through your years where you're playing and making friends, because some of them that talk to ghosts and things, they don't have friends anymore, or they lost friends, because they're just different, and they're doing things like that. And so we end up you know trying to coach them away from it for a little while, until they get, especially out of your teenage years. That's the big thing for me. Because like I said, we all go through different changes, and physically and emotionally. And so once you get out of your teenage years, once you get past 18, if you really want to go down this path, then you want to make sure you get hooked up with the right people that are going to guide you, because you just don't want to try to necessarily read a book and just go verbatim what the book says and that's it. You definitely, books are great. They get you started, get the information there, and then you will eventually want to get under somebody's tutelage, is a good way to put that. So yeah, but Michelle, we're not doing any today, just for the fact that I'm exhausted because I was out late hosting an investigation. But I do mediumship readings, I do card readings, oracle, tarot, and oracle. I'm getting into some other things, rune readings, and that sort of things I do. Uh, I'm still working on it, of doing some more shows. They won't necessarily be on it, like this in the morning on Saturday. This one's more of just sort of a talk show. But probably during the week at some point soon, I will do a live reading show, and I'll usually establish what type of show that'll be, whether it's just mediumship or if it's going to be a card, one card pull type of thing. Um, so you just have to keep watching my page. So I just always encourage people to like my page, and you'll get notifications of when the a reading show is going to happen. But right now, yeah, Saturday mornings are just kind of that we're just all getting together and hanging out and stuff. So about another 6 minutes left. Tim, I know I did cross my mind. I mean, it did cross my mind, but I'm more into, and even did one yesterday for a good friend of mine. I did a rune casting for them, so that was really cool. That worked out well because I mean I understood a lot about what is going on with this person, and it was great because it really did follow along, and that was awesome. So I mean, it was the way or the one I learned from it. You actually take the elder Futhark runes, and so you pull out 7 of them, and then you lay them down face down, and then you mix them up in you have a three circles, and how they roll into the circle is the pattern. So you start in the middle and you work your way to the outer rings. And so what I would do is you take them, and then eventually you flip them over, and it depends on which way they're facing is your reading. And so it read really well for the one I did yesterday. So that was neat. So that's something that's coming. And I talked about it once before that there will be a rune show. It'll be a one rune pull, much like a, like a tarot card or a oracle card, but I do want to do runes because I do have Viking in me, and so I am connected to the Norse, and so I want to do that because it's fun, and some of them are really neat. There's a lot of neat things, and it's something different. Most people aren't aware of it, but I've been thinking about it probably a good 3 years, 4 years, and I finally have a couple different sets, and so it's going to be fun once I get used to it. I just got to memorize things. That's my problem is, but that's why I want to do it more on the rune stuff. And oh, buddy, Valhalla. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And even then, this is why you guys see this typically. I mean, this is actual wording. This is actually stands for Grimfrost. It's a Swedish company that sells Viking era replica clothing and all kinds of cool things, jewelry and things. So that's what this stands for. So if you guys ever wonder, this isn't some weird uh, demonic lettering. This is actually runes that you see. So sorry, I'm not all zipped up and stuff, but it actually says Grimfrost, and where are we? There's the letter T, which is tier. But that's another time. We can get into that. But so yeah, so Michelle, hopefully that answers your question and things. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that, and I will. Yeah, it's just been I've been trying to get into the year and get things going. I have a lot of different ideas for shows and a lot of reading shows, and I'm just trying to get going and establish a little bit more. Plus, the weather and things is just all chaotic. So I mean, sometimes I'm not thinking about a lot of the stuff I want to do for you all. So I I'm trying to keep my stress levels down because I had several panic attacks this week, and because I'm just worrying about stuff that I shouldn't be, but I am. And once you're in it, it's hard to get rid of it right away. So I want to make sure that I'm okay. And but at the same time, I like challenging myself. I like doing those shows, and I talked about before. I think last month for sure. I want to do another flute show for everybody. So I want to do a meditation thing, because I think we're about due for that, and so I want to do that again on here. So uh, I will I'll get that set up into, but I want to make sure I've got enough weeks prior to make sure I'm practicing. And not that I don't practice, it's just I don't practice when I have a show coming up, which isn't been much lately. But when got a show, I'm really every day. It's not like a couple times a week, but when I have a big fledged show, then I'm practicing every day constantly. But so that'll be, that's on the table. So it doesn't hurt. So a lot of you that know me and stuff, it doesn't hurt to have that friendly, nice reminder. Hey, when you gonna do this? Just don't be mean. Don't be mean. I don't want mean comments. So, but so yes, lots on the way. And of course, like I said, those when I get those reading shows, those will probably be during the week at some point, unless the weekend's just going to work better for me. But I know a lot of everybody, all of us, that's I do the morning show to because everybody's probably going to go out and do things if they need to, whether it's grocery shopping or whatnot. Or but yeah, I'm dying to do it. It is working its way in more and more. So I'm sorry for the delay. So if people were looking for it sooner and things, you know I said I don't want to do things where I'm not fully feeling well enough to be in it. So hey, good morning, Sharon. uh I like I said, I miss it a lot, but at the same time, if I'm not feeling well enough, whether it's physically or mentally, but then again, who's mentally, well, Tim and I both would agree we're both mentally out of it anyway. So but, um, but if you're having stress, like I said, I've had panic and anxiety attacks and stuff. And so when you're in one of those, it's just hard to focus on um trying to then do a reading show and stuff. So I uh I've got techniques I've learned, from counselor friends of how to deal with things. And so problem is like if I had something set, I would be horrified. Then I'm like, oh man, I feel horrible that I can't. But um, so I'm never going to be one of those that is going to, if I'm going to do a reading show, I'm in it, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to say a bad word, but half rear end. So I'm gonna keep it clean. I don't want to do it half rear ended. So because again, I want you guys to, what if you get a reading from me, and the messages are right there. And um, you know, you know, worst case is I got a lot of friends that do this. And if you really, really need one, I have plenty that I will recommend out. And I do not have a problem with that. You know, as much as I want to, especially if it's a big full-fledged personal reading and things. But um, you know, I got a good group of medium friends, and we all got each other's backs, and that's important too. And we can help each other out when we need to. And it kind of is a nice reciprocal thing. We all can lean on each other. If hey, can you take this, or can you work this case? So I love that about my group of medium friends. But so I do see it's now 10:31. We are a minute over because I usually try to let you guys go so you can get on with your Saturday. Um, we'll be back again. Keep watching the pages. You never know when I'm going to have something kind of neat or post it, or even then maybe if things are going well, I'll even get ready for a live reading show at some point. But um, watch the page. Don't hurt to check it out, and we'll keep you guys posted on what's coming up. Excuse me. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I know a lot of us are about to. Oh, I love you too, Tim. I know there is some colder temperatures coming up, so a lot of us, Midwest, I'll put it that way, and I wouldn't doubt the East Coast too. Tim, you probably are going to see some of it as well. A lot of cold temperatures this coming week, so you guys be careful. Stay warm. Obviously, don't be exposed to the elements as much as don't let too much be exposed, so that way you guys run into any type of frostbite or anything like that. So be careful next week, and stay warm. And if you need to, you could just act like my buddy Tim. Kick your feet up, good blanket, a nice loving wife or husband, and then have your dog next to you and just enjoy it. And he'll know what I'm talking about at that point. So but uh, stay warm, be safe. We will be back again next week, and we'll have a good time. So, and I should start saying it more often, but if there's ever you guys ever have questions, you don't feel comfortable asking it in the comment section, you can always hit me up privately and say, hey, could you talk about this, or could you answer this? And whether you want it on the show or you want it privately, don't ever feel that you can't ask something. Ask any questions. I mean, if I don't know, I'm going to tell you straight up, I don't know, but I will find that answer out. So ask away. I don't care what. Well, there's a few subjects I won't talk about, but most of it, you guys know what I will talk about. But there's a lot of other things I'm just not going to go down because that's not the way I am. I'm not going to go there. But most things I'll touch on. So all right. Well, you all have a wonderful, wonderful day and weekend. Stay warm, as I said, be safe. And thank you so much for joining me this morning. This was the Mid Morning Medium Chat with Adam the Black Swamp Medium. And as always, all my love, light, and peace to each of you.